Phil here. A lot of topics on the table. Cactus League, Grapefruit Circuit open for business. Dodgers, Padres already in spring training camps. The rest of the teams reporting this week into the weekend. Let's start with Padre baseball, John. Item one. This is not good. USA Today ran a big column in which they nailed the Padres. Say the Padres are now old news in Major League Baseball, that the excitement has vanished, that the fans are gone. Last year, when the Padres opened spring training camp, it was a mob scene every day in Peoria. This week, there were 12 people at the front gate when they opened for spring training camp. The novelty has gone away because of what happened last season, what has happened in the offseason. A.J. Preller, the general manager, said, "We left a lot of disappointed people in that locker room at the end of the season. That team was capable of winning a World Series. We left a lot on the table." He says this spring training camp was all about opportunities. We got a ton of pitchers here we think can make this roster better. Every one of these young guys, infielders, outfielders, will be given a chance to make the opening day roster. Meanwhile, Manny Machado said he was asked his reaction to the Juan Soto Yankee trade. Soto is irreplaceable. So you got one veteran guy that doesn't like what happened. Yu Darvish says he was never asked, but he would have tried to meet with Yamamoto if the Padres were going to bid on him. The Padres obviously were never in on him. Jeff Cronenworth of the opinion the team tried to live up of the media and the fans' expectations, and we failed miserably. By the way, the Padre TV deal has been announced. We don't know yet what channels it's going to be on. It's $19.99 a month. It's $99.95 for the entire season. I think more details of where it's going to be located will be forthcoming. But that's where we are as it relates to the Padres, the opening of spring training camp, and USA Today just kind of crushing them before the first pitch of spring training has been thrown.
Well, isn't it funny how the media loves to build them up and then tear them down? And that's what's happening with the Padres right now. I think this coming year, there's still going to be a lot of excitement around this team. I mean, you still got a lot of great star players. The team I think it's going to have a better record than they did last year. I mean, how could you not win more than 2 games over 500 with this record?
They didn't last year, John.
Well, because they were pathetic last year, and Juan Soto wasn't productive until the very end of the year. So, I think, yeah, the light has dimmed on the Padres. They're kind of settling back into kind of where they should be because when they were the third highest payroll, that was unrealistic long term. But I wouldn't say that the excitement is gone. I mean, it's way too soon to say that.
They're going to have to prove something, though. Their payroll was third last year. As of this hour, it's 14th.
Yeah.
In the National League.
But they're going to still spend another $20 million or so. So it'll get up into the top 10.
We don't know that for certain. That being said, I do agree with you that the veteran lineup, stars in that lineup, they'll probably hit back better than they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
But they got holes in that pitching staff, or maybe I should say they got question marks in a lot of places on that pitching staff, starting with pitching slot number 3, 4, and 5, and then the depth guys beyond them. Meanwhile, across town, Andrew Friedman, Dodgers president of operations. Ohtani is 100% ready to start as DH opening day when they play the Padres in Korea. He talked openly about Yamamoto and the contract they gave. They said, this guy is intriguing. This guy brings amazing expectations. But Andrew Friedman said Yamamoto will go through a learning curve. Him learning about MLB, the National League learning about him. Says that he has to acclimate himself to what will be a very different baseball culture. He is going to handle pitching differently than Ohtani did with the Angels. He's going to pitch in the rotation on a regular basis, whereas usually Japanese pitchers come here, they pitch once every week. He is going to be in the 5-man rotation, which means it might be more than once in a 7-day span.
Right.
So that's going to be fascinating to watch. Friedman says his arm talent is very unique. We are setting him up in the best environment possible. And he believes Yamamoto's arrival, corresponding with Ohtani now coming in, and the heritage of Dodger baseball with players on the Pacific Rim will make his transition to Major League Baseball much, much easier than a Japanese or Korean pitcher going to somewhere else in Major League Baseball that's ever had a player of that like or have players of their culture on that roster. So it's going to be fascinating to see the evolvement of Yamamoto. Thoughts on the Dodgers?
Isn't it weird how the vibes in both those clubhouses is so different?
Yeah.
I mean, the Padres talking about disappointment, taking a step back, big question marks. And now here, Ohtani is praising Yamamoto. The organization is doing all the right things. I'm very curious to see how this Yamamoto performs in Major League Baseball, because there's that other pitcher in Japan who hasn't come over yet. I think
Sasaki.
It's Sasaki. And that kid is really talented too.
He's got electric stuff. He's younger than Yamamoto. He's not pitched as much as Yamamoto has in Japan. If you YouTube Yash Yamamoto, look at some of the videos, look at his stuff. It's just wicked. I mean, you're talking about ball movement and bite. Holy cow. Granted, it's major league hitters, but they still got to hit the thing that's jumping on them. And
right.
This is going to be fascinating to see. And by the way, we will have coffee and donuts at 3 a.m. here in your casa.
Is it going to be 3 a.m., really?
3 a.m. San Diego time, the first two games in South Korea. Why? Because not only is Ohtani going to be in the lineup and Darvish is going to start, Yamamoto is going to start in one of those two games.
Outstanding. This is going to be great. You know, it's just be us like watching soccer on the other end of the globe. So looking forward to that. That's going to be in a few weeks.
Yeah. One side note, we have banged on the Angels, rightfully so. We have really demonized Artie Moreno, I think rightfully so. I asked the question, do you really want to own this ball club the way you've conducted your business in the offseason? That was a question, rightfully so. Artie Moreno said this morning, I'm going to own this franchise going forward. It is not for sale. He did admit that they're going to be $50 million below what they spent last year. Their payroll is way down. Last year, they were right at the 235 threshold. They're down, and they're going to stay down. They've signed 11 journeyman free agent players to one-year contracts, a.k.a. fill-ins. So I don't know what the pulse of the fans in Orange County are right now. I don't think it's real good. The man says he's going to keep the franchise. He's going to operate it the way he wants to operate it. So that's the end result. He's answered my question. Do you want to own this? He said yes.
Well, how many big name contracts are on that? I mean, there's obviously Trout and Rendon, but is anyone out there like on a $15, $20 million per year or more?
No, because the rest of them are really young guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and they force-fed some draft picks. Their young shortstop, Nato, did a very good job. Logan Olhape, who they got in a trade, is a young catcher. He's the catcher going forward. He's on his first major league contract. So their payroll is significantly lighter. And they, their young pitchers are all 3- and 4-year guys. None of them are arbitration eligible yet. So I just don't think it's going to be a good product on the field. And he may want to continue to own it. He can't walk around Anaheim Stadium publicly because he'll get booed. He can't think that everybody approves it, the methodology of operation. I mean, you had all the money from Ohtani, you didn't use it. You signed all these 11 veteran 1-year plug-in guys, the Luis Garcias of the world. I don't understand it.
So you think they're out on Snell?
At this point, yeah, because Snell's not signed anywhere.
Well, who's in on Snell?
Well, supposedly the Giants were, but the Giants have spent a lot of their money. Does the price tag come down on Snell? That becomes the bigger issue. This demand for 7 years, $30 million per season. You haven't seen anybody sign him yet. And same thing with Jordan Montgomery is asking $30 million, maybe on a shorter contract. I don't see the Angels wanting to spend $30 million on a pitcher, not Snell, not Montgomery.
Well, especially if they've announced they're not going to be, increasing the payroll. But it's incredible. We have camps are opening up, and we still have these big names. They're still not signed.
Yeah, there's probably, I'd say, at least 5 significant veteran guys, and then there's this whole flurry of veteran DH, the J.D. Martinez's of the world, that are still out there too. Some of these guys will finally come to camp, won't be at the price that they want, but I'm intrigued to see where Snell winds up. So if you're a baseball fan, your reaction, USA Today crushing the Padres, your reaction to who the Dodgers are. Any Angel fans out there joining us on live stream? Join us in Fans Forum with that. So we go from baseball